All right, let's talk about something that can sound a little scary, the tax audit. But I want you to forget the idea of a stressful interrogation. Instead, think of it as something completely different, an essential health checkup for your business's finances. Let's break it all down. So, the big question is, does your business need this financial health checkup? Stick around, because we're going to break down exactly what a tax audit is, who needs one, and, you might be surprised by this, why it's often a really good sign of a healthy, growing business. Let's dive in. Okay, so first things first. Before we jump into who needs one and why, let's just get on the same page. What exactly is this financial checkup we keep talking about?
So picture this. A tax audit is basically an independent review of your company's financial records by a professional chartered accountant. Their whole job is to look at everything you've reported, your income, your expenses, all that stuff, and just make sure it's accurate and lines up with the rules in the Income Tax Act. It's really that simple. It's like a doctor looking over your medical chart to confirm everything's in order. No gotchas, just verification.
Okay, and this is where a lot of people get tripped up, so it's a really important point. A tax audit is not the same thing as a company audit. They sound similar, but they're totally different animals. See, the tax audit, that's all about making sure you're compliant with the Income Tax Act. The company audit, on the other hand, is for the Companies Act, and its goal is to show shareholders that the financial statements are, true and fair. So, different laws, different reasons, different audiences.
Okay, so now we know what it is, but why? Why is this checkup even a thing? What's the bigger picture here?
Well, the goals are actually pretty simple. It's all about making sure your books are accurate and that you're playing by the rules of the tax law. But it's bigger than just one business. When everyone gets this checkup, it helps keep the whole system fair and transparent. It really creates a level playing field for everybody. All right, this is probably the part you've been waiting for, the million-dollar question, or maybe the 1 crore rupee question. Does your business actually need to schedule this appointment? Let's figure it out.
So how do you know? Well, it all boils down to one main thing, your annual turnover. And that's just a fancy way of saying the total value of your sales or gross receipts in a financial year. Let's get into the actual numbers.
And here it is, the first big number to remember. If you run a business and your total sales for the year go over 1 crore rupees, boom, a tax audit becomes required. It's a pretty clear line in the sand.
But wait, it's a little different for professionals. People like doctors, lawyers, architects. For them, the magic number is lower. We're not talking 1 crore here. The threshold is 50 lakh rupees in gross receipts. So if you're a professional and you cross that 50 lakh mark, it's checkup time for you too.
Now, I gotta add a quick but really important note here. These are the general limits. The rules are actually a bit more nuanced because the government wants to encourage digital payments. So if most of your business is cashless, your limit might be higher. But for now, just to keep it simple, let's lock in those two numbers. 1 crore for businesses, 50 lakhs for professionals. That's your main takeaway. All right, so let's imagine you've hit one of those limits. You need an audit. What happens next? What exactly is the doctor, your chartered accountant, going to be looking at? What's on their clipboard?
Well, first off, the person doing this checkup has to be a qualified practicing chartered accountant, a CA. These aren't just any accountants. They're independent pros with a special certificate that lets them do this. Their whole role is to be an objective third party, just giving a straight-up professional opinion on your finances.
And really, what they're looking for boils down to 3 big questions. First, are your books in order? Are your records complete and accurate? Second, what about your income and expenses? Is everything you claimed legit? And third, the big one, tax compliance. Did you follow all the specific rules, like for depreciation and paying taxes on time? That's pretty much the whole shebang. Those are the key questions your auditor needs to answer.
Okay, we're almost at the end, so let's talk about the final prescription. We've covered the what, the who, the why, but what's the real point of all this? Why is it so crucial to get a clean bill of health?
Honestly, the benefits are massive. A clean audit report, that's like a gold star for your business. It makes you look way more credible to banks, to investors, you name it. And of course, it helps you dodge some pretty nasty penalties. But it's more than that. It just forces you to keep your financial house in order, and that gives you incredible peace of mind, so you can focus on growing your business instead of worrying about fines. It's really about building a stronger, healthier company for the long run.
And you don't have to take my word for it. Check out this quote from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. These are the folks who literally set the rules for the auditors. They say it perfectly.
When you have the right knowledge, this whole thing stops being scary and becomes something you can handle with confidence.
And that's a wrap. So hopefully this whole idea of a tax audit feels a lot less like a scary interrogation now and more like what it really is. Just a routine but super important step for any business that's healthy and growing. Which leaves us with just one final question for you. Is your business ready for its annual checkup?